Hey bookworms, feeling overwhelmed by towering TBR piles and forgetting everything you read? Welcome to the club. We live in an era where information is abundant and easily accessible. Every time we blink, it seems like a new book, article, or post is published, vying for our attention. It's what I like to call the information avalanche. It's exciting, right? But also daunting. Because, let's be honest, our brains aren't exactly wired to process this information overload at the pace it's being thrown at us. And while we can't control the rate of information output, we can certainly control how we handle it. Enter the concept of speed reading. It's not about skipping content or missing out on the good stuff. No, it's about optimizing how we read, becoming more efficient, and making every second count. So how do we bridge the gap? First, forget the myth of reading faster equals understanding less. With the right techniques, you can actually boost your comprehension while whizzing through those pages. Let's start with tip 1. Taming the subvocalization monster. You know that little voice in your head that narrates every word you read? That's subvocalization, and it's a major speed blocker. The trick is to train your brain to understand the meaning without sounding it all out. Try using your finger as a guide, or focusing on whole phrases instead of individual words. It may feel strange at first, but with practice, you'll start to notice a difference. Next up, tip 2, expand your vision. We often read in narrow lines like ants following a trail, but what if we could take in whole chunks of text at once like a reading Jedi? Practice expanding your visual field by following a pen moving horizontally across the page. You can also try tools like reading pointers. The goal is to stretch your brain's ability to take in more information at a glance. Our third tip is to be an active reader. Reading is not a passive activity. It's a conversation between you and the author. Ask questions, summarize key points, make connections to your own life. Jot down notes, underline, or even doodle. Yes, doodling is allowed. The more engaged you are, the more you'll remember. But here's a bonus tip. Choose your battles. Not every book needs to be devoured at warp speed. Sometimes it's okay to skim lighter reads or scan for specific information. And when it comes to dense material, take your time to savor and understand. Be your own reading ninja, adapting your approach to each book. Remember, the goal isn't just to read faster, but to understand and remember more. So give these tips a try and see how they can transform your reading experience. You'll be surprised at how much more you can take in and how much more you'll remember. Be your own reading ninja, adapting your approach to each book. Speed reading is awesome, but remembering what you read is the real prize. So let's dive into the magic of memory. There are 3 main strategies to help you lock in that freshly read information and make it stick, talking about it, applying it, and reviewing regularly. First up, let's talk about, talking. After finishing a chapter or a book, have a conversation about it. Share your thoughts, ideas, and key takeaways with a friend, a family member, or even your pet. You'd be surprised how much more you remember when you've explained it to someone else. Next, apply what you've learned. If you've read a book on gardening, why not get your hands dirty and plant some seeds? Or if it's a self-help book, try out the suggested practices. When you put ideas into action, they become part of your experience and are much harder to forget. Lastly, make it a habit to review. It's easy to forget what we read, especially when we're consuming books at lightning speed. So, take time to revisit your notes, highlights, or mind maps. It's like meeting an old friend. You pick up right where you left off and strengthen your bond. Remember, the goal isn't just to read more, but to absorb more, to let those words seep into your brain and become part of your understanding. So, talk about it, apply it, review it. Make the most of every book you read. Come back to your notes, highlights, or mind maps to refresh your memory. So there you have it, bookworms. We've navigated the information avalanche, debunked the myth that speed reading equals less understanding, and shared tips on how to remember the magic of every book. Remember, it's about taming the subvocalization monster, expanding your vision, and engaging actively. Every page turned is a step towards becoming a book-devouring beast. So put these tips to practice, flex those reading muscles, and let the world of words become your playground. Now go forth, conquer your TBR piles, and share your love of reading with the world.